Gotta win.
All right, let's talk moves.
Trash right now.
You weren't here yesterday. They did nothing yesterday. The Browns were pretty much took the day off.
It was kind of quiet overall yesterday.
It was super quiet. I mean, we had the Waller trade, which was big.
Right.
But and we'll talk about that. But I want you to weigh in on the moves that the Browns made on day one of the legal tampering period because you weren't here. So the re-signing of Taki.
Love it.
I think everybody expected that was going to happen.
You know, that's
Ethan Posich, though, I think that caught a lot of folks by surprise. It caught me by surprise. What was your reaction?
Well, I mean, I thought the way he played last year, you had to keep a guy like that. You don't know how Nick Harris is going to be coming off of that ACL injury, so you got to have some insurance there. You know, if somebody goes down, you got two guys that's interchangeable, and worst case scenario, you got draft capital if it gets needs be with Ethan Posich. So I think it was a very good chess move by them to keep him.
All right.
Not only the knee with Nick Harris, but he hasn't been a starter. It's not like
that's true.
Yeah,
he's never been a starter before.
They in all of their comments on him, they say they're very comfortable
They
with
wanted
him.
him to be the
starter. But the fact that they went out and signed Ethan again tells me that either A, they don't think he's going to be fully ready, or B, they've been playing smoke and mirrors when they're saying, "Oh, we're ready to go."
Or C, Posich was just so good that they felt
that's what it was. I think he overplayed what they thought he was going to be, and on top of that, he got the chemistry with Deshaun Watson for those last few.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with that. That's a great point.
And with bringing Posich back, I just want to say the Browns are officially out of the center market, which means Zeke Elliott is not on their radar when he gets cut later today.
Hey! There will be no Buckeye slander on this show. Okay,
Zeke is going to be out of work though.
We'll talk about that in a little bit.
We don't know that. We don't know that.
All right. Center market.
Obo Okoronkwo is a guy that really,
say that
really.
One more time.
Obo Okoronkwo.
Nice.
Okoronkwo.
I can't say that.
Young OG.
Now I got to ask because this is a guy who was dinged early in his career.
Yeah.
Really couldn't get through the starting rotation for the Rams, but was an active piece in their Super Bowl run. Went to Houston last year on a prove-it deal.
Yeah.
And now comes to the Browns. But when you look at his trajectory, the last 10, 11 weeks of last year, he was grading out as one of the best defensive linemen in the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you go off of. You get paid off of your production. And you got to think about this. This guy's going to be opposite of Miles. We need a guy who can be a game wrecker opposite of Miles. We got to run. We got a good guy who can stop the run with Alex Wright. He's pretty good against the run. But we need that pass rusher on third down. Everybody knows that Myles Garrett is going to be double-teamed, triple-teamed that time. Yeah. If you got a one-on-one, we need a guy who can win one-on-ones. This guy has proven that he can be that guy. His athletic ability is all through the roofs. And like I said, last year he's forced the one forced fumble. He had 5 sacks, but he probably became the main guy on that Houston's D-line. Plus, Houston's D-line, they was running cover 2 anyway. So it wasn't a lot of thought that went into that.
Right. I think that's exactly like Myles Garrett makes the job of the other defensive end easy, no matter who the player is.
Right.
So you take a guy who's young, who has upside, and who, as you said, is trending up. I mean, that seems to make a lot of sense.
Yeah, think about it.
Good.
And then they got the big guy in the middle.
Jadeveon Clowney's most productive year was back when he was in Houston. He had like 10.5 sacks or something like that. 1 year with Myles Garrett, he got 9, and that was later in his career. So Myles Garrett is going to get you the one-on-one matchup that you need. Just win it. That's all. That's all.
Have a guy that can win
just win the
those
matchup.
Yeah. Now, what about Tomlinson? Because I think most agree, Bull, I don't want to speak for you guys. I think he's the big piece.
Yeah.
Do you guys?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean,
yeah. Because that's the guy that you needed.
And that was their biggest weak spot on defense.
Right. So they plugged a hole.
Yeah, he's a
pardon
3.
the pun, with
he
a
was
big guy.
playing the 3 technique last year, which means that he's pretty much in the B gap, so he should stop all of the B gap runs. In worst case scenario, he should be able to hold that up. Obviously, defensive tackle was a huge thing that we needed to fill anyways. I think they liked the way Perrion was playing. It kind of gives me concern a little bit because that means you're going to really depend on Perrion to take that next step this year. This guy right here with 2.5 sacks, I mean, that's at a defensive tackle, that's pretty good. Like,
sure.
Because and 3 TFLs, that's okay. Obviously, you like to see more. Hopefully, if him and Myles is on the same side, then Myles would take up a lot of attention. He could be able to make those plays. It's like I say, Myles is really making it easy on a lot of people. I mean, you hear all these defensive tackles.
But he didn't last year.
What?
Make it easy on a lot of people.
He did. They just didn't win.
Well, yeah, he's going to take up a lot of attention, but I was stunned at the lack of production from everyone else on the defensive line. Typically, you're right. When you have one of the top 3 edge rushers in the game, you expect that other guys are just going to get to feast off table scraps.
Yeah.
But we really didn't see that.
And it goes to show you, well, first of all, the run game was atrocious, and people figured that out. You getting blown off the ball. An edge rusher can't do anything.
Right.
I'm not saying Miles is the greatest at stopping the run if he's in pass mode all the time. Like J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt, one of the best DNs, but in his mind, it was pass every play for him. So he's shooting up the field. They going underneath it, then it's nothing you can do about that.
You better have run support
exactly.
on the backside to help.
And that's what Tomlinson should bring in. Hopefully, they get that linebacker situation figured out as well.
How do you grade what's been done so far?
Well, defensive tackle was a need and DN was a need. So as far as a need standpoint, I think these guys are B pluses. They're not the big names, but they're very productive.
Yeah.
So these guys can trend with the help of Myles Garrett. They can turn into A caliber.
Were you
players.
disappointed that they couldn't work a deal with Jones?
Yeah, I got to
Did you text him yet?
I texted him. I got to, he probably, I don't know what he's doing, but he needs to hit me back. Draymond hit me back. I got to know what happened.
when you-
I gotta
And
know.
you give him all the hot spots in
Yeah,
Seattle.
I got to know.
And you give him a B plus. I gave him a B plus yesterday. You guys were in the B range as well.
Yeah.
I think again, I mentioned this yesterday. We all understand the Browns, like a lot of teams, have a lot of moves to make. The whole offseason, like people panic. Like there's still a lot of guys available.
Yeah.
All right.
And a lot of time available.
And a lot of time available. People, the whole. Somebody said to me today, I can't believe it. What a disastrous offseason for the Bengals so far. I said, we haven't even officially started free agency.
That's what I said. Like
Von Bell is the only guy I really care that they lost. It's not a disaster. And right now I give the Bengals the benefit of the doubt because they've done a really good job the last few years. But I got to see what happens.
You got to hate that they lost Bates, right?
They wasn't going to play him.
I knew he
No, I
was
know,
gone.
but I mean, just in terms of,
I know
I wouldn't
that.
call it disastrous, but,
No, but
you
they
want to keep
but
everybody
they drafted
intact.
a safety in the first round last year.
Right.
Now, who knows how good he is?
Right.
But I knew Bates was gone. I wanted to keep Von Bell. I thought they were going to lose Pratt. They kept him. Losing Samaje Perine and Hayden Hurst
Those are guys.
completely replaceable
Yeah,
players.
those are guys.
Like, you can't panic. And I get it. I know the Browns need certain things, but they've addressed two needs.
Yeah.
They have other things they got to do. We all know that. But, like, especially the wide receiver market, it hasn't moved that much.
No, very little. I mean,
Yeah.
did anybody? I know Waller was traded, but really on
Right.
day one there was really only one, maybe two.
Jacoby
notable-
Myers,
That was
Alan
it.
Lazard.
And Alan
Lazard, you're right. I'd
Those
forgotten
are the
about
two
Lazard.
notable wide
I don't even
receivers.
think they that good.
Well,
Jacoby
when you
Myers?
take a look at what's available, that's the cream
Yeah,
of the crop.
they're both
Yeah,
both solid receivers.
Yeah, I mean,
They're both better, I think, than Donovan Peoples-Jones, but not that much.
While we're talking Jets, by the way,
Yeah.
later today, Aaron Rodgers is
Going on McAfee.
is going on McAfee, which I think is a surprise to no one, and he's going to make the announcement.
Well, we don't know for sure that he's going to make the announcement. We assume.
I'm pretty sure he's going to do it.
I'd be surprised.
He did tell the Packers that he wasn't going to hold them hostage through the free agent period.
He can't be
Technically,
trusted,
the free
though.
agent period starts
today.
At 4 p.m.
So
So,
any,
right, so
any deal that's been made can be backed out of.
You're right. You're
That's right.
absolutely
Can be
right.
backed
It can
out
be.
of.
The expectation is that he's going to the Jets. I love this. You know you have the hammer when you can tell a team, this is my shopping list.
That's
Yeah.
terrible.
By the way, OBJ is on that shopping list. I need you to go out and acquire these players, and then you have a chance.
Look at that. Lazard, Cobb, OBJ, Mercedes Lewis.
I would
Cobb and Lewis aren't going to cost anything. There's
I'm
like minimum
not
guys.
signing them.
What the hell's OBJ wearing there?
It's probably Versace.
It looked like a spades. Looked like an ace of spades.
You're not
Cycling
signing
outfit.
Odell? I said this
No, I
yesterday.
said I'm not signing
that's not
Cobb
good.
or Lewis. I'll sign
Yeah.
Odell. I'm not
Well,
signing
those guys
Cobb or
are
Lewis.
those guys are costing minimum money, so I don't think that
no,
matters.
it's
But
whack.
if I were I said this yesterday. If I were the Jets, I'd tell them to go stick it up as you know what.
I agree.
I'd go.
That's funny.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't know where you guys sit on this. I am so through with Aaron
Oh,
Rodgers.
so
drama.
sick of Aaron Rodgers.
I mean,
Can't stand
it's
him.
really I know he said
So
he wasn't going
annoying.
to hold them hostage, but he's hijacking the Packers organization.
Yeah.
The expectations are that he's going to play and he's going to play for the Jets. But imagine if he comes out and says, "I'm done."
If I'm the Jets, I would just.
Possible.
If I were the Jets, I would have gone all in on Lamar Jackson.
I would have
and tried
went
to
on
get him.
Lamar
See,
too.
this is the problem. This is the problem when you the Jets. when you screw up and you make bad decision after bad decision.
Well, in fairness to them, outside of quarterback, which is the biggest miss, they've done a lot of smart things.
But
they've drafted great.
Listen, last year they had the offensive rookie and NFL defensive rookie.
None of that matters
if you don't have a
drafted
quarterback.
Zachary Wilson.
That's true.
That's true.
But I don't think Aaron Rodgers is the answer.
He's
He's
an answer for 1 year.
I don't even know if he's the answer for 1 year.
No, he's the answer for
No,
a
he
year.
can play.
He didn't have a good season this past year.
No, but
Because his receivers was dropping a lot of balls.
His receivers weren't great either. But
The Jets don't have great receivers.
Yes,
they have
they
one.
do.
They have one.
They got 2.
Well, they signed Lazard now.
No, they got Elijah Moore is really good.
He's not
Moore,
great. They're talking about
Wilson.
trading him.
Yeah, because he wasn't getting the ball because Zach Wilson couldn't get it to him. I would have won it out,
and
too.
who was the one that popped off about? No.
Corey
that
Davis.
Was the Ravens.
Denzel Mills?
No,
lot-
I'm
no.
thinking about the Ravens wide receiver that popped off about the
Yeah.
front
Sean
office.
Bateman.
One thing that's interesting to me, I thought of this yesterday. It's funny how Aaron Rodgers and his career is so similar to Brett Favre. They each won 1 Super Bowl. They each got red when the organization drafted a new quarterback for what they thought was too soon. Remember, Rodgers was drafted when Brett Favre was in his early to mid-30s.
Right.
He was red about that. Aaron Rodgers got upset when they drafted Jordan Love.
Right.
And then both went to the Jets. Well, if he goes to the Jets, Brett Favre ended up going to the Jets. Aaron Rodgers may end up going to the Jets.
Aaron Rodgers making a
Their
mistake.
careers are incredible.
Aaron Rodgers need to
Did
go to
both of
San
them-
Francisco and win a ring. And then
Did
go
both of
here,
them
Rodgers.
I agree with you.
Did both of them rip off a state government using illegal funds?
No,
only
but
Favre?
Aaron Rodgers was wackadoo enough that I think he qualified
He
for
could.
being equally nuts.
He
Yeah,
was
yeah,
able to
that's
get
true.
away. He was able to not get vaccinated and follow the vaccinated protocols.
I know.
That was bizarre.
That was weird.
So that was.
And you know what? New York isn't going to love that, by the way. New York was you don't step foot in our state unless you got 8 needles in your arm.
What was the word he said? He's immunized. What did he say?
Yeah, he did
Immunized.
say I'm immunized, which he later said, well, that could have meant I have natural immunization from it.
But you couldn't possibly
That guy's
know.
hilarious, man.
Well, the whole
So,
thing.
guys, let's get back to the Browns, though.
Yeah.
We now know some details on the contracts for both Obo
Good
and
work by you on
Tomlinson.
this, by the way.
Shout out to the internet and Over the Cap website for
Over the Cap,
having that.
the best
Yeah.
site
Shout out
there.
to them. For anyone who doesn't know, Steve, let's pull up. We'll start with where you're at, 135 real quick. We'll give you a current cap overview for the Browns.
Right.
So the Pochich deal is still pending, so we don't know the exact numbers. So what we do know is that they have about 11 million-ish in cap space.
But I have a
before
question for
Pochich.
you.
Yes.
Okay, that's with none of Pochich's
That's
money.
none of
on there.
Pochich's money.
We can safely assume it's going to be in the $6 million range, right?
Guaranteed, give or take ish, because
'Cause it was 3
18
for
million
18.
over 3 years.
Right,
so-
but the cap hit by year could be
Right, I know.
more as they go.
All I'm saying, it
Yeah.
could be 4, 5, and 9.
Sure.
Typically, that's the way some of these deals are
Right,
structured. But I
right.
think we're
It's a lot
safe
of how
to
Berry
assume.
structures his deal. They're backloaded.
They're
We'll see
all-
with Tomlinson
Right,
and
exactly.
with Ogbo.
So I would say if you're going to guess, I would say it's probably 4, 5, and 9.
yeah, probably.
One way or another, it's safe to assume that it's in the 6 range. So that brings the Browns' cap space to 5 without these other restructurings that we're
Right.
expecting to happen.
Right, which
Correct?
they'll do if they need
Yes,
to.
which they'll do if they need to. So
Yeah.
we
Right.
broke into Tomlinson's contract. Steve, you can take this full here. In 2023, for this upcoming year, he has a $4.35 million cap hit. In 2024, it jumps up to 6.5. In 25 and 26, it takes a massive skyrocket up to 19.5, which is about 27.5 million total guaranteed. But they can cut him after 2 years if he's not playing at the rate of a $19 million defensive tackle. The dead cap money they'd hit in 25 is $5 million. It'd be about $12 million in 26.
Very
which is a lot
punitive.
A lot of dead cap money, but it's also less than 19, which is what you'd be
You know
paying
what,
him.
Yeah,
in
but
4
that
years.
is a huge hit. Like if he doesn't work out and you cut him
It's a
after
big
2
hit.
years, you are paying a ton of dough.
Right.
For
Well,
dead
But
space.
what I do
Yeah.
like is that they listen to. Remember, Sheldon Richardson came from the Vikings.
Right.
He was productive here, right?
I liked
he
him.
was.
Yeah.
So they went back to where somebody was productive at defensive tackle, and they went to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I thought there'd be more connections to Philadelphia with
Yeah,
Schwartz.
And there still may be.
And there might be, yeah.
You know.
Still available
Fletcher Cox.
is Fletcher Cox.
Yeah.
And I think everybody is safely assuming that it's the end of the road for Ndamukong Suh, right? Does anybody think he's going to play again?
I don't know.
based
gon-
on what he did last
He
year.
gonna wait till let's see who's gonna go to the Super Bowl, and then he gonna jump on.
It was odd. Before he had signed with Philadelphia, he had tweeted out randomly after Nebraska had fired its coach that he would take that job. Yeah, I'll just go from the sidelines of the NFL right to coaching a major Big Ten program.
He'd be respected.
He'd be respected, but
I don't know.
I don't know if you're going to bring in a guy that's had zero coaching experience.
What you mean?
Colts
the Colts did it.
Yeah, by the way, a friend of mine ran into Jeff Saturday at the airport, and my friend beat him for a cab. Jeff Saturday lost again.
Was it on the Saturday?
That was cheesy, but he did.
Yeah, that
fell short.
I'm trying to think where he was going. Like
That
maybe
fell
there was
way
more.
short. But my friend did actually run into him in the airport.
You a jerk. You ain't saved that man on that one. You could have jumped in all the other damn time.
That was one of my top 5 worst jokes of all time.
Yeah, clip
Speaking
that.
of random
stretch.
Jeffs real quick, the USFL's coming back. Jeff Fisher's going to join us again. Jeff Fisher told the USFL people that on last year's media circuit, his most enjoyable interview was with us.
Of course it was.
Because of
All
my
his
jokes,
interviews.
especially.
We had a blast with him.
And he's going to come in studio
Jeff
this year.
Fisher.
Oh, he will.
Hey, the one
So
with this young-
is he coaching one of the teams that will play
When
all
they
of
play
its games in
Canton,
Canton?
they're going to come in. We got a whole deal. USFL, we're back with them in April. I'll tell you guys off air.
Yeah,
the
I
details
heard
of that.
yesterday about that,
So,
which is good
should be
news.
fun.
Yeah.
That y'all asking
Okay,
about this young.
So I had a question for you on that. You said that they get $9.75 million in cap space after they cut JJ3. Is that baked into that number already?
No.
Good.
That happens on June 1st. They get that cap space back.
Excellent.
So they
Okay.
had, after, just to clear everything up, after restructuring Watson's contract, they had about $19 million to use, give or take.
Right.
The 3 deals, Tomlinson, Taki, and
Pocic.
no, not Poaches.
Obo.
Okonkwo. Oh,
Obo.
007.
Just call him Obo.
007, yeah.
007.
Those 3 are about $8 million in totality, so they have about 11 left to work with before Pocic. Then you take Pocic's 4, 5, 6.
Again, I don't think we need to obsess on the number because they can restructure with a number of other guys if they need to.
Well,
But I'm saying they're getting the
Thank
almost
you.
$10 million from John Johnson
Yes, thank
added on in a little bit anyway. So
Yeah.
they really
Well,
have.
I don't know about a little bit. June 1st is not that close.
No, but they could do a deal and they could pen it
Exactly.
to June 1st, so they could
Exactly.
sign somebody.
Sure.
And
Sure.
So roughly we're sitting between 13 and 17, depending
Somewhere in
on
that range,
how the
correct.
Pocic deal is. And if they restructure the deals that we think they're going to restructure,
Right.
which Chubb would be among them, I would guess.
Wyatt Teller.
Wyatt Teller, and there
You
was
could do
one
it-
other one that I thought for sure.
Yeah.
Njoku.
Amari Cooper.
I just
Njoku, yes.
you just wait on these because you don't do it unless you have to, right?
Right,
Like you
right.
know, so they're not going to necessarily, but because it just pushes back cap hits into later years.
What move has to be made that hasn't been made?
Wide receiver.
The wide receivers the most.
I think slam dunk. Do we do that via trade? Because there's not a lot left in the free agent pile.
Yeah.
I think the 2 best wide receivers have already signed.
well, Juju
2 of the best.
Smith-Schuster
Yeah,
is as
2 of
good
the
as
best.
those
I don't
guys,
know that.
but-
Does anybody want to get into business with Juju?
I don't, but
I
I'm
don't
saying-
either.
He's as good, if not better, than those guys. I think.
Yeah, from a
But I don't
player's-
want him. I don't want him.
Yeah, I don't think we want to welcome
There's
that
nobody
in.
in free agency right now that I want.
Okay, so we're going to address that one of 2 ways, either via trade,
Yeah.
and there are a lot of guys that are out there that could be had. Brandon Cooks, I think Judy could be moved from
Yeah.
Denver.
Judy makes a lot of sense.
I think Judy makes a lot of sense too. The more I
I don't
think
know why
about it,
the
I want
Broncos
either
wanna trade
Brandon
him.
Cooks or Judy. I don't either. I don't either, particularly
think
when you're
they
trying to
don't.
rehabilitate.
I don't think he on the board like that.
I think Cortland Sutton on the
Yeah,
board.
he might be on
Yeah,
the board.
well, I
don't
heard
think
both
he-
were.
I've heard both are too, but I don't.
Cortland Sutton even tweeted
don't
out.
believe that. I don't believe
he
Ju-
tweeted
Judy.
out. I just want to be somewhere where I'm appreciated. and used."
It's their number 1 receiver. He's young, like
Judy's younger though.
way younger. Like he's a better player than Sutton. You coming out, you got Russell Wilson. You got to have him throw the ball to somebody. I don't understand why he's even on the trade block to begin with.
He's not. It would be Cortland Sutton because they'll feel that they getting Tim Patrick back, and Tim Patrick was very productive when he was there. He just obviously was hurt last year, and you got to keep Jerry Jeudy because as bad as Russell Wilson was, they had some connection at the end of the year, him and Jeudy. So there's no way that they get rid of Jeudy.
So do we address it with a trade, or do we roll the dice where we haven't had a lot of success at this position with the draft?
I hate if the Brown. Listen, it may turn out, so it may be unfair to be critical. But if the only thing the Browns do at wide receiver is the draft, I'm going to look at that, at least going into the season, as a huge disappointment.
I would second that.
You setting yourself up. The way these cards is falling, a lot of people want to just be like, I'm not doing that. Okay, well, look. I mean, there's a guy out there, Odell Beckham Jr., and if I look at the trade market, everybody don't want DeAndre Hopkins. If you can't get Brandon Cooks and you really not really high on Hunter Renfrow, you got a couple options.
I would rather trade for Cortland Sutton than sign Odell.
No. Cortland Sutton?
Guys, Odell can't stay on the field.
Cortland Sutton?
Now, Cortland Sutton can't really stay on the field either.
And he's not even a good player.
You know,
then.
I keep bringing his name up. I've done it probably 3 times in the last week. But
Terrell
Hunter
Owens.
Renfrow is a guy that I think they need to really kick the tires on.
And for me,
I know you're not high on him, but
I just think they need a top 20 receiver.
This
He's
is
not a top 20
this is
receiver.
what I
what
would.
was his best year with the
It was
Renfrow?
2 years ago.
Probably 2 years ago.
He was. I know he had 1,000 yards.
All I'm gonna say is this:
close to it.
Hunter Renfrow is one of those receivers that
would be nice.
that
He's pesky, man.
If you ask any DB or linebacker of my ethnicity, they'll give him his respect because that dude right there.
Right, but he's not a top
is
20 guy.
He like that on the route side.
His best season was 2021. He played all 17 games, had 103 receptions, 1,038 yards, and 9 touchdowns.
I'm taking that. I would take that in a heartbeat.
hold
I
on.
just don't think he a burner.
That's not special.
Let's put some respect on
100
his
catches,
name.
1,000 yards,
1,000
and 9
yards in a
touchdowns.
17-game season
What?
is not special.
Cleveland.
It is special.
What Cleveland Brown has had 100 anything? I'll wait.
Or 1,000.
Or 1,000 anything. I'll
Or
wait.
9.
Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper. That's
All
it.
these
Okay,
guys
he
were
was right at that level last
All
year.
these other guys we're talking about have had multiple 1,000-yard seasons. So
But you don't want them either.
Yes,
Who-
I do.
who- You don't want Odell
I want
Beckham?
Cooks. I'd take Sutton.
If you can,
I'd take
But
Judy.
isn't Cooks like 32 or something like that?
I'd
How
rather
old
have
is
It
Cooks?
seems like it because he's played for 40 teams.
I swear, how old is he?
He's not. I don't
Cooks
think he's
is
30.
29.
Yeah, I would
Yes,
say he's under 30.
If
Yeah.
you
Cooks
cannot,
is- he's 29. He turns 30
if
in
you,
September.
I'm asking,
wow.
if
Yeah.
you can't get Cooks,
Right?
what are you doing?
Then I'm trying to get Judy. Well, first I'm trying to get Judy.
So,
First off,
If he can't trade him, then I'm going for Cooks.
So let me
If I
ask-
can't trade him, then I'm going for Sutton.
well, the problem is if you get Judy, you got to come with a contract because his contract is
Okay,
coming up.
so I
but the
backload
thing-
that.
But the Cooks thing, if you trade for Cooks, is his contract like, is that doable?
I think so.
They would have
We'd-
to.
We had looked at it before. It wasn't huge. I don't
No,
think
but
it's
they
huge.
would have to do some because there's some cap trickiness from a Texans perspective.
Maybe, yeah.
For trading
I haven't
him.
looked that deeply into it. All I know is there's also familiarity, which counts for something, especially if you. I really want to know what Deshaun Watson thinks. If I'm the Browns, I'm asking Deshaun Watson, which of the two that you've thrown the ball to between Renfrow and Cooks are you most excited about throwing the ball to again? Let him weigh in
I'd
on
be
this.
shocked if he said Renfrow over Cooks.
I don't know. They were a hell of a combo in college.
That was like
and
7 years ago.
but it's still it's like when a pitcher and a catcher have worked together, and then one of them gets traded and they're apart for 5 years, but when they come back, they all say the same thing.
How was Derek Carr and
I turned back the
Devontae
clock 5
Adams
years.
last year?
What's that?
How was Carr and Adams last year?
Very good.
Well, you know what? I almost throw out everything that happened in Vegas last year.
I just
It
don't.
was such a mess, Tom.
I don't think Hunter Renfrow's any better than Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Wow, now that's
don't
some.
think he is.
That's crazy.
I
talk
agree
right
with
there.
Bull.
That's
What's that?
y'all crazy.
What's Donovan Peoples-Jones'
Y'all
best
is
year
crazy.
again?
This year,
And give me his numbers.
Stop it, bro.
Steve, it's number 26
y'all
and 7.
got to cut that out.
Yeah, that's absurd,
That's
guys.
y'all got to cut
That's
that
absurd.
out.
You can't
Renfro's a
Y'all,
slot
because
guy.
y'all don't.
It's
One
not
guy
apples
had
to
Jacoby
apples.
Brissett throwing to
What's
him.
his
The other
most
guy had Derek
productive-
Carr, a
what's
much
his
better
most
quarterback.
productive
Is he that much better?
Yes.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah,
three touch. Listen, bro. This is the thing I would say. Y'all. You know what? This is what I'll say.
Go ahead and tell 'em.
I'll compare it to this.
They overestimate the dudes on the roster. Go ahead.
Listen.
Wait a second. I'm not saying he's that good. I'm just saying Hunter Renfrow's not that good.
This is what I'm gonna
Hunter
say.
Renfrow's
This is
definitely better
what
than
this is
him.
what I'm gonna say.
Come on.
Because this is as close
No.
as I could try to get it in a comparable sense for y'all.
Yeah.
But we got Odell Beckham. This town went crazy.
did.
Odell Beckham was not that productive. We got Amari Cooper. Everybody's like, you know. But you know what? Amari Cooper running them routes and get that separation. Guess what Hunter Renfrow good at? Running them routes and getting that
His
separation.
best
Y'all
year.
are not paying attention to
Is he
how
a top 20
important
wide receiver?
route running
Is
is.
he a top 20 wide receiver?
What top 20 wide receivers available?
Yeah, of all the guys we're mentioning, none of them
Yeah,
are.
none of them.
Brandon
What do you-
Cooks is at the back
No,
end.
no,
no, he's not.
No, he's
Stop
not.
it.
Not
Cut
anymore.
it out.
Yes, he is.
No, he's
Come
not.
on.
No.
I'm just saying you're
Is he
not
better than Hunter Renfrow? Yes,
Brandon
he is.
Cooks?
Yes. Not even close.
I would take the yeah.
Of course.
But that's not the point. What I'm saying is you're not paying attention to how important route running is.
I
The
am paying
separation
attention
that
to
he
it.
creates. He got an and one mixtape on DVD.
Unlike most people, I was excited when they traded for Amari Cooper. Hunter Renfrow ain't Amari Cooper. He's a decent player.
He
but
runs great routes.
Nothing special about him.
The only reason he was bad last year because he was hurt for the majority
His
of
best
the year.
year is a year we considered crappy for Odell.
So here's the thing, man.
1,000 yards is not a great accomplishment.
100
It is.
in the
It's
NFL.
still the
100
it's
catches
still the-
is. 100
No,
catches
100
is.
catches ain't it.
100 catches is nice.
He got that.
But he only had 1,000 yards. That's not a great season.
He's a slot receiver.
I've always
That's what
thought
I'm saying. This is out of the slot we talking about.
He's not-
This is the slot,
he's
not
not
the
an
X or the Z. We're
not an
talking
X.
about
In
the
1 year,
the slot.
He did it once on a
Okay.
team that threw the ball because their defense sucked. All they did was throw the ball.
Question, Mike McNuggets, real quick, while they talking. Can you give me Judy's numbers from last season? Just curious.
think-
Judy's, yeah, and while I'm looking that up, I do want to say,
Jeez.
although Renfro's has more catches and yards than DPJ, he had 43 more targets that year than DPJ had this year, and DPJ averaged 5 more yards per catch.
Well, guess
That's
what?
good. That's good. That means he was open.
Different players.
That
They
means
might
he
have
was
sailed the
open.
ball over
And,
his head,
and
but they threw the
Renfrow
ball
only
his
had
way.
200 more yards, was playing with a much better
And
quarterback.
Donovan Peoples-Jones has 3 touchdowns because he can't separate.
You want this year's numbers?
Come on,
Yeah,
man.
Judy?
Yeah, what was his number?
67 receptions, 972 yards, 6 touchdowns.
He had
Nice
more-
season. Nice. Not great. Nice.
And that's all out of the slot.
Judy?
Yeah.
Oh, that
No,
was
he played
Jerry
on the
Judy.
outside.
That was Jerry Judy, right?
Yeah, that was
Jerry
Judy what he's
Wait,
talking
you
about.
want Renfro's numbers this year or Judy?
No,
Judy said
I wanted Judy's numbers.
Renfrow was
Judy.
awful this year.
He only played like
Renfrow was
6
hurt.
games. I only know that because he was on my fantasy team and he pissed me off.
Yeah, but even in those games, he didn't do anything.
No, he didn't.
Well, the Raiders were a mess this
They
year.
got rid of
They
that
were.
quarterback.
Yeah,
They had
I
a
mean-
brand new coach.
That's true because the Broncos were in great shape.
Well, I'm not talking about the Broncos right now. I'm just talking about the Raiders. The Raiders were terrible.
Well, the rate, listen, hold on. To be fair with the Broncos, they was down by like 21 points, so it turned into a 7-on-7.
At the end of the day,
And the Raiders weren't?
this
No, I don't think so.
This is
they
why-
had the lead
I mean, Devontae
rusher.
Adams still had a good season.
They had the NFL leader rusher.
This is why I love pressure, because we talk all this BS about who's better and who ain't. Go ahead and go into the season and you ain't got 2 new receivers. Everybody going anyway. So, like, we can sit up here. He's not that good. I don't like him because
But
he's
gee,
older.
you're saying that as if I'm saying I don't want any of these guys. I do. I just don't want Hunter Renfrow.
But you when you talk,
I'd take any of them.
If Hunter Renfrow is the best addition they make at wide receiver, I'm fine if you brought in Hunter Renfrow as your third one. You want to replace DPJ with Hunter Renfrow?
No.
Do you think
No.
I'm just saying in
Wait,
theory.
nobody said
I'm
that.
just saying in theory. If you're telling me Hunter Renfrow is going to be your number 2 receiver, I'm saying that's not good
I've
enough.
said from the beginning they need 2 receivers. And when you say no to this guy,
Hunter
and you-
Renfrow had 330 yards in 10 games last year. He sucked ass.
and Cortland Sutton is who?
Well, I'm not dying for Cortland Sutton.
I'm just
but
saying.
I'd rather have them than Hunter Renfrow.
I would not.
Why would you rather have Cortland
That
Sutton?
have showed you nothing.
Because I think-
No. The question is because Cortland Sutton is an X or a Z. You
Yeah.
don't have nobody in the slot, so DPJ gonna play the slot?
Whoa, now you think we have to get a slot receiver?
Yeah,
Yes, we do. We must.
That's
I
the
don't-
whole point.
I don't agree. I don't think it has to be a slot receiver.
How do you can't play with 2 X's?
So who's going to play the slot?
Now you gonna have, the problem we got on
You're
defense?
asking for DeAndre Hopkins. He ain't a slot receiver.
Here's what I'm telling you. If DeAndre Hopkins comes,
Yeah.
Donovan Peoples-Jones is peace.
Okay, fine.
But my thing,
I'm saying if the Browns can get a good X receiver, I don't care if he's good
they
enough.
got an X.
They got one. So what
Amari
I'm saying
Cooper's
is,
Well, you're asking for DeAndre Hopkins.
no.
I told you I would trade for I trade DPJ for DeAndre. Y'all shot me down.
Listen, I'm telling you.
I would
listen,
too.
Well, why would you do that? I would trade DPJ too in part of a trade. I'm not stuck with him. I'm just saying he's okay.
All I'm saying is you need a slot receiver. You got Bell and Schwartz. What, you want to roll with them?
Of course not.
Okay, so what we say
That's
is
your slot.
Right, but if I can
And you
get,
got
if I
Michael
can get
Wood.
another outside receiver, if the best guy I can get is another outside receiver, then I'll go get that outside receiver and then do whatever the hell with DPJ.
So you would be fine with DeAndre Hopkins then, because he would be better.
I'd rather get DeAndre Hopkins than Hunter Renfrow. Yes.
Okay.
Well, I think I would too. But
So
I
we
don't-
rolling David Bell.
Yeah,
in.
but that's like saying, give me the Mercedes 7 Series over the Jag. We can't, and we get caught up in this all the time. We always think, and you brought this up, when OBJ came over, it was the name. It's it. People were printing their Super Bowl tickets. They were dancing in the streets. I'd never seen Browns fans dance in the streets over a move before, but they were, and he failed. I know that we.
By the way,
caught
he
up with
failed.
the
Had a
name.
1,000-yard season. We're calling that a fail. Hunter Renfrow, we're singing, throwing raises at.
How many
convince me
how many touchdowns did he have?
Yeah, convince me it wasn't a failure.
I think it was, but
Okay.
you made it seem like 1,000 yards. You said 1,000 yards is a great
how many
season.
touchdowns
From
did Renfrow
OBJ,
have that 1,000
what we
yards?
expected. So our
But you
expectations
just said
are
1,000
here.
yards is a great season.
He had
I'm saying
nine-
it's not.
It is.
The new line is 1,200 to
It
me.
is, but there's different. You have different bars for different guys.
I'm talking about Hunter Renfrow had 9
I
touchdowns.
expected OBJ to light the
Agreed.
world
But
on
the bottom
fire.
line is $1,000. 1,000 yards is not a great
No,
season.
1,000 yards with 9 touchdowns is
That's
really
crazy.
good.
And 100 catches.
And 100 catches.
That means
That's
you're moving the
absurd.
sticks.
That's crazy.
You're moving the
compared to 3 from DPJ.
That's crazy.
Different quarterback, different team.
Oh, there we go.
Different quarterback.
That was
Is
great.
that not
Who?
true?
That's a
Hunter
really good,
Renfrow?
That's a good yard.
Okay, that's a
season.
great stat.
That's a great season.
51 of Hunter Renfro's catches were for first downs.
That's a great. He balled that.
That's Brian Brennan territory.
That's
don't want him, huh?
no. That is Wes Welker territory.
That's Wells
No,
Welker,
you
but
don't.
That's-
yeah,
you
listen
but I
to
mean,
them
it's-
stats
And it's
like
1
it
year.
ain't that
His other
bad.
3 years, he did nothing.
well, he was hurt last year. We all know
Okay,
that.
so that's part of the deal.
And who was throwing the ball to him last year? They didn't even know who their quarterback was.
Derek Carr, who's better than what the Browns had.
Carr was not the quarterback for the second half of the season.
Yes, it was only like 4 games that Stidham played.
Okay, so they count.
Jared
still
Stidham
count.
almost beat the 49ers.
Here's the thing,
The
guys.
Raiders had a better quarterback than the Browns did last year.
We want to
That's
get.
true.
We want to get
Jay, is
the
that
big
not
na-
true though?
What?
Derek Carr's better than Jacoby Brissett. Isn't that? I mean, it's not even close, honestly.
In theory.
In theory.
I mean, when I watched
What
it
did
with my
Devontae
eyes,
Adams do last year?
well, everything was going Devontae Adams last year.
He got
I think
Devontae
what happened
Adams
last
He's
year
the
was
guy that if you just put it in his vicinity. First of all, he gonna be so wide open that it
Here's the
shouldn't be
bottom
that hard.
line. We've been talking about the Browns' offense needs to be dynamic. You got all these teams that have these star pass catchers.
right.
Hunter Renfrow doesn't move the needle. That's it. He's fine.
The guys that
He
you
doesn't
want,
move the
though,
needle.
Bull, to move the
Yeah.
needle, how are we going to afford them?
What do you mean, how are we going to afford them? How does everybody else afford them? You pay them. There's always ways
We-
around the cap. We've already discussed this.
Right, but right now we're sitting at we think around 5 to,
Irrelevant.
to 15.
Is
It's not
Renfro a
irrelevant.
free
It's
agent?
irrelevant because
It's
you
not-
can restructure.
it's not irrelevant
It's
because-
completely
Wait
irrelevant
a
because
minute.
you have contracts
Is
to
he
restructure.
is Hunter Renfrow a free agent or you got?
Renfro
No.
is a free agent, correct?
Oh no,
Right.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of buzz out of the market right now.
Oh, well, so
else-
is everybody
who
else. What about
is?
OBJ?
I didn't say he's getting any buzz.
Well,
I don't want him either.
but now you're sounding like the fans that you're criticizing because nothing's happened yet. Like, we got to.
that was just making fun of Renfro.
Okay. we got to pump the brakes on it. I think the bottom line is we
Yeah.
all want different guys at wide receiver. So there's not that one obvious answer that's going to be our guy.
I just want to slide.
We do need a slot.
I want a slot wide receiver I like Renfro because he does really good routes, but I like Cooks because you can just throw Cooks a screen and he can take the thing. Like you need
And he can
somebody,
take the top off
Yeah,
the
you need
defense.
somebody to stretch the field. I'd be fine with either or.
They said yesterday on the NFL Network, and I almost spit out my drink, that Donovan Peoples-Jones is a defense stretcher. I've never really.
Who said that?
They said that on the NFL Network
I
yesterday.
mean,
when they were talking about the Browns receiving core.
He catches fades, but the thing is he doesn't create separation. It's always a contested thing, which he does
Right.
well. He wins the 50-50
Yeah, he
balls
does
a lot.
win
He
that.
can win those balls, and he did have some nice downfield catches
Yeah.
last year, but I wouldn't put him solidly in the category of stretching the defense.
But this man, he did run a 4. I think he ran a 4.4 in this combine.
Man, he doesn't play that.
I think he's a
fast
4.5
to me.
tie.
It was a 4.5.
Yeah.
Who?
DPJ.
DPJ was at the combine.
I got to go.
All right, what do you got?